What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the weekly recap. I know you're used to seeing this in a video format. I'm coming to you live from LinkedIn Dublin right now. Some like crazy meetings and things happening over here. So super pumped. This is a brand new format for us where we are coming to you live. We'll try to take some questions from the audience from time to time, do this for about 10-15 minutes every single Friday, where you can come and hear, from our work. And I'm talking to tens or hundreds of sales leaders every single week. I'm talking to hundreds of startups every single week and month. And so this is a time where you can come. I'm going to share all my knowledge, everything that I know, and give it all for you. And so this week, my friends, we are talking about Sales 2020, since this is technically our second live session. But again, this is going to be a reoccurring theme every Friday. You can come in, check it out, get a little break, get a little ready for your weekend. So first, I'm going to talk about Jake's take on what's happening, what's new, and what you should be thinking about in 2020. And the first thing that I want to talk about is compensation, right? So I want to talk a little bit about compensation, how we're thinking about compensation for reps. The first thing I want to talk about is sales development. So I did a post a couple of days ago where people were talking about, hey, should sales development people be paid equal to account executives, right? Should sales development reps, how should you compensate them? So I will tell you, going into 2020, here is our recommendation for comping sales development reps. One, they don't have to go to account executives. It is a complex job. If they want to go to marketing, performance, there's a million different ways. But typically the career path has been towards sales. But if that's not what they want to do, I'm fine with it, right? But if the career path is that, I'm a big fan of a certain level of qualified meetings, so they get that reward in real time, coupled with a % of their commission being from closed deals. Because at the end of the day, quality is what matters. If you're good at generating 15 qualified meetings and none of them close, one, if the account executives all suck, then leave the company. But two, you want to have a little skin in the game. So that's our recommendation, mostly qualified that. 2020 AEs, this is where shit's going to get real controversial, my friends. So 2020 AEs, what I'm a big fan of is starting to move a part of the commission. I suggested 50-50. That might be too radical, but at least maybe it's 90-10, to where 90% is paid on deal closed and 10% after the client has actually actively started using it, whatever that means. No, I don't think we should change the KPIs for salespeople. Salespeople should be focused on making sure that their people actually use the product. I couldn't believe the amount of pushback that people gave. We had that post, had a few 100,000 views and I think over 1,000 interactions. It was really interesting because it's like we're only in sales to help people to be successful. Why are you selling your product? If you have a problem with being compensated on when people go live, then you're probably selling bad deals. So that's my take on 2020 comp plans. Probably nothing new necessarily from the SDR. I haven't come up with any cool new hacks, but every single company, I really want to urge you to start to tie at least part of your sales team's commission to your people actually using it, my friends. And so next up is This Week in Awesome. And in this section, what I do every single time is I tell you a little bit about some things that have happened in the week, tell you about what's going on, maybe plan for next week. So again, this week I'm in Dublin. We've been training LinkedIn's team for the last almost 2 years, right? And as a consulting company, the facilitation is kind of the end point for us. And so, we've built, tens of thousands of documents and now we're here deploying it. So that's been a lot of fun. We've got 3 of our team members out here really just doing an amazing job. But what I want to do is take a look back at maybe some of the best posts from 2019. And so I asked the audience, I said, hey, what were some of the best posts that you thought of 2019? What were the posts that really stood out to you where you were like, yes, Jake, this made a difference for me. Yes, Jake, this is really, really interesting for me, etc. And if you have some additional numbers out here, really just if you have some questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Caleb from my team. And don't forget to if you like this new format, please let me know. Make sure you let me know, hey, is this interesting for you? Do you like the time? Feel free to drop all that in the comments. And we'll try to, we can maybe do a little bit of Q&A today, but not too much. So, some of the posts, that people called out, one was the importance of building your brand in the new year, right? I've talked a lot about that. You can find a lot of my posts there, but there's two things to just always remember. One, keep building your audience every single week. Connect with decision makers or people that are relevant to you. One, and make sure you put out 2 or 3 pieces of content today. You can just repurpose what your company's already doing. I'm good with that. But again, a lot of people commented that was it. Another one was from Chris Rangel. What's up, man? Chris commented about the fact that I actually acknowledged his posts, and that was one of his favorite things. And I think for everyone who's out there producing content, you can't, you've got to do your best to engage. It's not just you just don't throw it out there and are like, yeah, it's done. How you really will foster a better community is if you engage. So make sure you engage with people. Another person, Josh Roth, loved the 3 buckets, which is basically this idea of making sure you as an individual, as a company, you have a seed strategy, which is building for the long term, right? And that's kind of where I view LinkedIn as there, a net strategy where it's a little one-to-many, and that's LinkedIn as well too. And then you're kind of direct outbound, where you can use kind of a mix of different things. So make sure you always have kind of that type of approach. And then finally, my man, Steven Schmidt, Steven talked about how, look, in 2020, we're seeing just continued B2C trends come to B2B. And so anything you've seen in B2C, you can better believe transparency, access to information, all of that is coming to B2B. So my friends, that's what's been awesome this week. Had a ton of fun with the team here in Dublin, and looking forward to another really fun week. Next up is a segment we call In the News. So in the news, what we're doing is talking about from what we've gathered, what other people are doing, what's interesting in the news. So LinkedIn said the demand for recruiting professionals is up 63% year over year, right? And why is that, right? Because finding top people is getting harder and harder and harder, right? It's almost becoming a who can pay people the most game, right? And so I think the interesting part that I noticed from this article, and Caleb, can we drop the link to that in the comments, or can we get the article to where we drop it in the comments? Is that more and more recruiters are coming from outside HR. They're coming from sales, operations, business development, and because that's the mindset. You've got to have that more. There's a lot more options out there. So if you're in sales and you're in you're ramping, or you're in marketing and you're ramping your team, I really want you to think about what's the DNA of that recruitment team. There's more and more recruiters again that are coming from different worlds. The interesting thing, I think, is around tracking and making sure that your recruitment teams becomes more of a metrics base, right? Over half of the companies aren't currently tracking the quality, right, of people. There are metrics that are at each step, almost like a funnel, right? 88% says that they have to do it in the next 5 years, right? So I think anyone who's out there has to think about, from a recruitment standpoint, when you're trying to find the right people, do you have the right people who can support you? 1, 2, do you have the right process and way to think about it? Do you have the right metrics? So my friends, that is my recommendation there. Make sure that you have a really strong process in place to both not just track what's, from a funnel standpoint, but make sure you have, a really good understanding of what that funnel looks like. So next up, my friends, is we have a section. This is my favorite section. I mean, let's call it what it is. This is Ask Jake Anything. And so this is where I take questions from all over the internet. Hashtag Ask Jake Anything. It's Caleb. See if you can keep up. Ask Jake Anything. Let's see if Caleb can keep up with what I'm trying to do here. Let's see if he can keep up with it. So in this section, what we do, anytime you put out a hashtag Ask Jake Anything, the team goes out, they scour the internet, they find the post, they look at what's the hashtags, they look at who's interacting with what. So this week I've got one from Colin Cadmus, who on one of my posts, what's up, Colin? How are you, man? He said, how do you anticipate the AE, their day-to-day, if we expect them to do some onboarding? So it's in direct correlation to that. And my answer is, candidly, it shouldn't really affect it at all. That if the account executive, they should be checking in on their clients post-sale. That's just good for business. And so for me, it's like, look, even if that's just a, an automated sequence that, after 2 weeks, there's a message, after 4 weeks, after 6 weeks, I think that something like that easy is good enough. So I don't really see this adding much work at all to people's plates to just make sure that their customers are actually successful. And guess what? Here's what I guarantee, Colin, and anyone else out there. The clients where the salesperson has to spend the most time are people that probably should have never been sold. And that's what we're trying to solve for. We need more of the right clients, right? And so every single sales rep should be thinking about that. We got one more Ask Jake Anything from my man, Alex Field. What's up, Alex? Would sales get a % of renewal as well in this new model? No, right? I'm not asking. I don't think that, unless your salespeople are full stack, right? If your salespeople are doing that, then yeah, of course they do. But no, all this is about is making sure that your salespeople sell deals that they actually start using the product. And my friends, like, I don't think that that's a crazy thing to ask. I don't think it's an insane thing to think about. Should salespeople have to do this work? Like, it's a part of the job, my friends. It's why you get paid a base salary. It's to make sure you sell people who are going to use it. So again, hit it up. Ask Jake Anything anytime that you have a sales or marketing question. And I will do my best to answer. So in this week's Get It Done, my challenge for all of you, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in for our very first weekly recap live edition here. My challenge for you is let me know how I can add more value, right? So this is a new format for the weekly recap. So DM me, drop something in the comments. Again, Jake, this sucks. Jake, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Jake, stop posting so much. Jake, this is the best thing ever, post 85 times more, whatever it is, whatever you're feeling, right? What I want to do is make sure that we're providing as much value as we can in the audience to all of you. And so as we are continuing to iterate, continuing to give value, I think what most people will say about our content, and make sure, tag your friends too. I think one of the best things that you can do is tag some of your coworkers right now. Right, tag them to let them know, hey, come check this out. Hey, this guy's talking about, what's happening with SDRs, what's happening with sales. So, toss a like. I like the likes. Tag a friend, and just let us know what you think of the new format. So every single week, I'm going to be giving it to you. You tell us what you think about the format. You tell us what you like, what you're interested in, etc. And we will do our best to kind of keep bringing you what's new, what's exciting in the world of sales, and everything that we're seeing that people should get down with. So this is the weekly recap number 77, and I am out.